I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. We just wrapped up working with the Perelman Performing Arts Center reimagined production of Cats called Cats, Jellicle Ball, where we brought you a series of episodes during the run, which ended on September 8th. I thought, why not add one more? Because I think everyone has a ton of questions about the costumes. So I'm excited. Welcome, Qween Jean, and thank you for joining me.
Hi, how are you?
I'm excited.
So excited. See, excitement overload.
I heard your name through multiple interviews talking to the cast and creative about the work, because one of the biggest questions with this production early on was they're not going to be in Cat's costume. What are they going to do? They're not going to be in Tails, and they're going to have this. And then everyone raves about it. So I want to hear from you about your process and the costume as the costume designer and the person behind all that. But before we start, I got to ask your Cats history. So before this production, did you have a lot of Cats knowledge? Like, what was your Cats background before this?
That's such a great question. I mean, I feel like the 10-year-old little Queen was definitely singing memory with
okay, so you knew.
Yeah. Yes, guilty and lovingly. What a guilt and a pleasure. This is truly a masterpiece. Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber's work, and I don't know. I just feel like, in addition to the legacy of what ALW was able to do in terms of like really bringing something such a unique offering to American theater, and also thinking about the masterminds with our directors and the entire creative and collaborators on our team. It just felt like this was just a really beautiful and majestic way to tell a story. And so for me, that was like my way in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with the question that everyone wants to know. Like, how did you, when you heard about it, start thinking about this process? Because that's one of the biggest changes of this. I mean, there's obviously the ballroom and aspects, but a huge change is not being in cat costume. And so how did you approach just that kind of like overall knowledge of like, here's something I have to start almost from scratch?
That's honestly, this question is so powerful and necessary because there is a legacy, and also there is a undeniable historical references. There's, we have in our minds and our psyches, like, what Cats is, right? And so I think when we as artists and designers are reimagining or, re-adapting stories, you really have to do it from the, from the top down all the way around. Mm-hmm. And so when I first joined, that was my immediate first question. I was like, wait a minute, are we doing Tails? What's the tea? And so I had some other ideas. And so, I was like, look, I have some other things I'm cooking in the kitchen. So the team was like, absolutely, which is always a joy to be received, welcomed, embraced on a team, a project, a new offering that we're putting together. Oftentimes, you can be with folks. Anyways, sometimes like the limitations are greater than the imagination, and this was the opposite. The imagination truly for this entire production grew and grew exponentially. And so I wanted to make sure that what we were doing with clothing, wardrobe, with Nakia Mathis's artistry, and and Rania, who is doing our makeup design. And so we really wanted to work from all angles to make something truly, truly unique. And I hopefully, memorable, something exciting, something that feels like community, something that feels and looks like us, that people in the audience will get excited. Our artists, the storytellers who are stepping into these characters can also feel excited. And I'm very grateful that we were able to accomplish those ideals within the design.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, I just was like, I'm doing me.
Yeah.
I'm doing me. I'm bringing Qween Jean to cats, and this is what I got to say. And it's truly been a blessing beyond blessing to see how folks light up once the music starts, to see young people in the audience, to see folks dressed up as their favorite cat. I mean, it's been unreal. So much like artistry, a continuation of artistry that has been launched this entire summer. It feels like a dream come true, honestly.
Yeah. So I want to ask a little bit more about two different particular parts of the costume design. So there's obviously the characters in their normal, this is what they're in for most of the show. And then there's also the ballroom elements where they're walking the categories. So let's start with the characters, because there is a little bit of like, you have to make sure that it's still known who the cat is. So how did you think about, this is either maybe the color schemes or just the look or the personality? Like there are some indicators. There's some that I loved. And so we can get into a couple of the ones where I really loved how you kind of nailed that. But how did you think about creating the personas or creating it so that way people that walked in could still identify, oh, this is this particular character?
This is an integral question to the overall design. And the answer is so simple. I listened and responded to the artists. We had a few workshops beforehand. I was honored to have been welcomed to come and sit, but also just to share space with the artists in that workshop. I got to meet everyone. A lot of the company from that workshop were able to join us for this production at the Perelman Arts Center. And it unlocked so much for me. Seeing how folks were approaching their own character, seeing how folks interpreted Cat, what movement they were beginning to develop. And so I saw that and I was like, okay, I can, And so I just started drawing in rehearsal, to be honest, looking at folks' movement and movement in terms of their physicality, but also their cat language. That was something that I wanted to be authentic to the character. As soon as people, I didn't want it to be like, okay, we're putting this person in a costume. That's not, that wasn't my initial aspiration. But I really wanted it to feel like, no, this is Mistopheles pumping through the entire venue. And so that was, it took time, obviously, yes. But I also was able to bring my full history of ballroom, my entire history of performance art, movement art, and dance to the design. And so a lot of the, I would say the engineering of it is actually quite skilled and quite meticulous, in that, something that'll look like a pair of jeans actually is a whole different innovation in itself that allows each person to move, to jump, to make a split, to have a little feline fashion on it. And so those are the things that I try to develop for each cat base. And so that was, we started with the cat base, and then we went into the cat category design, which, and some folks honestly translated seamlessly. I mean, like a lot of folks, they translated seamlessly. And there are some characters that their transformation was so fabulous and so unique. We wanted to kind of share that with everyone, and it felt like the very first time for everyone. And so that, in terms of ballroom legacy and history, we want for folks who may not have an opportunity or may not be seen in the world to step out onto the runway and to shine, to be a luminous, and part of that, for their radiance to really push through systemic oppression, push past the barriers that a lot of our community members face. Queer, trans, BIPOC, who I feel in this show, their humanity is centered in a way that feels right, that feels like a Jellicle choice moment. And so that is truly my simple offering, is that I wanted every character to feel that, yeah, I could win Jellicle choice tonight. And that's the level of intention, and that's the level of care and detail each person has put into their offering. And so from the moment we see in the opening montage, we get these vivid snapshots of folks getting ready. It's like boom, 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 and really follows the like the chords and the orchestration in the opening. And so that is to allow folks to get a real sense of personality, the joy, and also the fierce fabulosity that's about to come your way.
Yeah. So when you were doing certain characters, was there anyone that was super difficult, or on the other end of the spectrum right away you're like, oh, this is it. I know exactly what I'm drawing for this one?
I'll be very honest. I felt that way about everybody.
Okay.
and that doesn't always happen. I felt like that about everybody. I mean, I will say, for Buster for Jones, I was like, look, this curvy body is about to sing down and really wake and shake up the entire space. Right? When they are deemed winner, babe, we want that eruption and that genuine love, right, for someone's power, right? Like that moment is so powerful. It should read from the moment we get a first tearaway. And so that continuation was something that was very important to the design and in each phase of it, ultimately, for that category, which was the body category. I will say for Grisabella, that was another pinnacle moment and a true definition of transformation. I don't know how much folks, I don't know.
People know.
This is after,
people know at
so
this point, and we're after.
Yeah, okay. We
can't spoil anything anymore. Yeah.
But our Grisabella in this phenomenal production, played by the iconic Temperance Moore Chastity, who is a living legend, and most importantly, is a phenomenal beauty. Like beauty. And so we needed for the audience and in order for the character to have this moment of evolution, even within the one night, we needed to really see, how does this person show up in the world in this moment, in this current day? And so we joked, I offered, I was in our initial conversations, I was like, we want Grisabella to feel like Diane Carroll outside of Port Authority, right? That there is a sense of joy, but also a sense of, I don't think sadness is the right word, but that there is a longing for care. This is someone who needs care and who unfortunately has not been able to receive their flowers and the love that they've brought and that they've built in this world. And so we then have a real opportunity at the end with her grand aria, Big Memory, is what we call it, for us to really see why she looks back at her days in the sun and how important it is for the entire world to know, every audience member to know that when you choose yourself, there is no wrong way that you can go, right? Choosing yourself, loving on yourself, and believing in your truth and your voice, that is how any person can achieve and earn their Jellicle choice, and be a Jellicle pride, so that those qualities were very important to me in the design. And obviously, and so that's for Grisabella. For Old Deuteronomy, I knew that it would be the icon Andre Deschia.
Yeah.
Old Deuteronomy is the highest form of power, authority in this story. And so when we see them, we should feel like we need to bow. And so that was, that there is a grand opulence and tailoring and a true sense of deity once the audience and our people, even, once Deuteronomy is revealed, we spend the first, big moments in the show talking about Old Deuteronomy once they arrive, and so there's a huge sense of communal preparation to receive our king, our eternal moon in that way. And so for the design, we spent a lot of dialogue and went through a lot of different phases to arrive at something that speaks to Old Deuteronomy, but also speaks to the entire lineage of Andre the Shield.
Yeah.
And that started, to me, was from the crown to the shoe. We will bow. And so that where we arrived with the design, there is a beautiful abstract detailing and tailoring. There is a patchwork detail that I found in terms of different references within ballroom, but also within very prolific leaders from the diasporic areas of our lives. And so I wanted to really speak to all of those ideas for Andre the Shield's design. And the top of Act 2 and Moments of Happiness, in terms of our design, I mean, I've always loved this number, but the Moments of Happiness was so important because it reminds and invokes the history and the spirit of our ancestors into the space. There is a sense of regality, but also this procession. We are describing and memory, and so we actually see the faces and footage, live, actual footage of these icons and the trailblazers and the founding mothers to the legacy of ballroom. And so that needed to reflect in Andre the Shield's garment as well.
Yeah.
And so there's a floor-length drape that allows there to be a continuation of drama and elegance and notoriety.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear you talk about it because as someone who went into the show knowing too much about cats, but not a ton about ballroom. And so it was cool to see how you put all those moments together because you could see how intentional they all are. There's nothing is out of place. It's all there for a reason. It all adds to, it's an element of the storytelling in itself. And it was cool because I noticed certain things where I'm like, oh, this helps. This is the cats, paying homage to the cat's piece. Tugger's jacket feels very homage to cat's piece.
Yes.
Jenny Annie Dots' coat, there's some moments I'm like, this is very clear what's happening here to kind of let you know, hey, this is still what but a different version of it. And I loved it. So I want to ask though a little bit of the reverse question though, because since I brought up Tugger, how much time and thought goes into when Tugger decides to remove most of their costume for you? Or did you was that part of the process for you of thinking through all right, when this moment happens, here's who's gonna rip it off and here's what's gonna happen and then we got to go get him back into something else different. What is that as a designer? What is that experience like?
Every moment in the show is deeply orchestrated and curated. Mm-hmm. That's my approach to life. These characters and these humans that are embodying each character all have a set of armor. And so to me, my foundation for each design is rooted in what makes each person powerful, what makes them feel unstoppable, what makes them feel that they are going, without a doubt, going to get their attends, their grand prize, and truly resonate in each of their numbers. So, for example, with Rum Tum Tugger and Realness, Pretty Boy Realness, those elements and those details all felt integral, right, in the orchestration and how we're building up. So there's a grand building up of revealing who they are, their appeal, this jacket. I mean, that their armor, that their tugger armor is so desirable, right? It's deeply intoxicating. It's like, okay, we all want more of this. But then it all tears away. And then there is still that element, those details, that precision, that tiger prowl, that roar, is then seen in every phase of their reveal and their different evolution. So that is all. Yeah. So that was, I think in a way, I also was surveying, right? Like, so, you will have this phenomenal sibling who is taking command, Buster for Jones, and then the judges it's a tight choice. Yeah. And so we want them to feel that either person absolutely could get it, but this, but these elements and the way that it's been presented and the way that the story is told, we're seeing someone step into something that may not have been what we perceived about them, but it's not limiting. And so that is something that really is detailed, like that. That specificity is important because we're actually stretching even our audience's imagination, right? Like, who actually is going to win? Babe, everyone has the opportunity to win. Everyone has the skill set, and everybody is so beautiful, each in however way they show up. It's something that we celebrate.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. I want to ask one more question before we go to some kind of catch rapid fire, but I want to hear about footwear, because I loved some of the choices. Like, I love the Jordans on Mungo, Jerry, and Ripple teaser. I loved like some of the different stuff that you were able to do, but there's also an element of like, this is a dance heavy show. And so they have to be able to also move in it. And I still can't believe Mistopheles was able to do some of what Silk did in heels and in, the shoes. But what was the like footwear aspect of it? Like, how much do you have to think about what they can do to be able to do the dance they have to do, but also the aesthetic to fit the actual costume?
This question never gets asked, and I am so grateful for you for asking it. Honestly, in some moments in the show, it's what leads some of the conversation. For example, for Silk, well, we can dive right into Silk. For Mistopheles, they are the runway master. They are the runway magician. They are the all-powerful cat. And so they need to move and glide in a way that feels seamless, but also that feels utterly, utterly, utterly magical, right? And so there's this like, okay, well, what does a magical cat look like? And so the workshop that we went to, or that I participated in the initial phase, we were at Mistopheles' number, at Silk's number. Silk came in with in true iconic, came in with the visual offering. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, they came in. I mean, so I was responding really to how they felt and they perceived themselves as a magical cat. I took that and said, oh, this is all right, but baby, we're about to make it even more magical. And so, and to be honest, in the conversation, I mean, every artist, we went through weeks. I mean, we changed footwear up until we open, even after. I mean, so that conversation is something I also want to uplift. Our incredible co-choreographers, Arturo and Omari, who are probably, to me, like one of the most magical collaborators, a team of collaborators that I have been blessed to work with. They are deeply connected to the spirit of each character, but also to the need of the show. And so our conversation started very early about each category, but also how does each person move through the night. And so there's some footwear that never changes. For example, like a monkey strap, they're, what? Yeah. Okay. I lied, Lord. Oh my God. No. They definitely have a Grand Bazaar. Okay, so everyone changes. Okay, everyone changes. But the progression is also part of what allows them to carry out each of their responsibilities, right? And each of the physicalities of each number. There are folks that a lot of tons of customization. I'm so grateful for the entire team, our costume team, Emily White, Ryan, Amelia, Camila. Like, we work hours to make sure that everyone's offering was appropriate and that it was magical. And I'm saying magical in that, like, once the actor puts it on, they're twirling, they're spinning, and they're going to land into a dip. We want that that reaction and that visceral, that immediate moment is what helps us build and layer on each design. And that is something that, even with the sneakers, customized, these aren't none of these shoes is something that you're going to be able to find, in the street, or maybe you will. But each character has modified them to fit themselves and to, and to be undeniable.
Yeah.
So with Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser, they are the most, they're the chicest and fab set from Jersey, and they are not about, their view on life and themselves is about joy, and so that detail went right into footwear for the sneakers, and even in their transformation. It is something, we want the audience to gag, but also it's about how to even heighten their number even more, and so that is something the actors really helped lead us, and then the design really helped to sustain us and then really fortify each number.
Well, kudos to you all. It's such an important part of the show and helps tell the story. And I think a big part of this particular production is what worked is almost not being in Kat's costume and having that different view and kind of also bringing all of that to the ballroom culture. So it was so fun to watch, so cool. And I'm glad we got to hear the magic behind it. But I want to go into some rapid fire about cats. So,
okay, let's do it.
If you could perform as one of the cats for one night, which track would you want to go on for?
Buster for Jones.
Buster Jones, love it. Who is your favorite and least favorite cat personality-wise? Like, which one would you want to hang out with and which one would bug you to hang out with?
Oh, I'm definitely hanging out with old Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
And definitely hanging out with, I'm going to add more. Definitely hanging out with McCavity. and the question is, like, who's the least?
Yeah, which one would bug you?
Can't nobody bug me. I would say, oh my God, this is a hard question. I plead the fifth.
Okay, all right. I'll let you off the hook. Favorite song from the show?
Gus, the theater cat.
Gus. And then if you could be in one of the cat's houses, because I know there's a few houses, which house would you join?
It is without doubt. My heart is with the dots, Jenny and the dots, but my aesthetic and my proud. I think I would be in the Dots Kiki house, and I would be in the McCavity mainstream house.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then my final question, because this has been the thesis of my show, is I've argued that I don't think Grizabella is the right Jellicle choice, which I think this production makes it a lot harder to argue. But I want to hear who is your Qween Jean's Jellicle choice and why.
I will say personally, I related so much to Syllabub's character moving to New York City and being introduced to family that I didn't even know existed, changed my life. Being able to participate in my first ball in New York City at Vogue Nights was the most powerful thing I'd ever experienced. Being at Escolitos on 38th Street changed my life to see the most gorgeous, like, trans femmes who embodied everything that I desired to be. In this production, I will say, they work behind the scenes and they are so vibrant. Their light is so vibrant, and you can tell that they finally have found a place to be home. And I think that doesn't get rewarded, celebrated enough. Yes, we all have to, pay our dues, pull up those bootstraps that the people talk about. But in real time, when we see folks navigating some of the most craziest things, some of the most unimaginable things, due to systemic oppression and due to a very sometimes a frigid world that does not allow people to bloom. And if we could all actually love on each other as we deserve to be loved, this world would be in a much better place. And I feel that Syllabub's character and the beautiful work that Teddy Wilson does in this show is deeply inspiring and helps propel and reignite a fire that folks can believe in themselves. And we see someone on the journey. Oftentimes, like I said, we'll see folks in the very beginning of the journey, right? And then we'll see folks at the end with the accomplishments and the thing. But in the process, in the midst of it all, that to me is where I most feel connected, inspired. And that was my personal truth. And so that was my testimony. And so for me, they're getting Jellicle choice.
It's beautiful because it is it's an important part of the show. And I think why Syllabub kind of almost acts a little bit as like, I always said Syllabub is, if you're watching this production, is follow Syllabub, because Syllabub sees the show and kind of tells you where to go and has these moments with Crisabella and is one of the first ones to accept Crisabella back. And so there is a lot of like, to have that selflessness while dealing with so much of it, and the curiosity too is great. So I love any different reason, and also any reason that's not Crisabella. So anything that helps my numbers and votes. But no, I think it's great because it is such I love how you said it's not the beginning or the end of the journey, but catching somebody in the middle is beautiful. So let's reward that. It's over, but like, let's bring the ladder down and go back up so we can let Teddy go up.
Yeah, and also too, they're a documentarian. I mean, they're snapping photos. I mean, folks that are, there's so much beautiful detail to indulge in, but their track and their sensibility is really powerful. They're archiving and they're holding on and into what we now as this audience will be able to say and how to describe it. And so that is a role in a lot of communities that doesn't get sung and doesn't really get uplifted, but it's crucial. It's what describe those folks that have that that mindset or that hindsight to actually archive what is happening. To me, is just as important as the actual fight itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I want Teddy's all the photo album to come out.
Yes!
After now that we're closed, we can get those pictures developed.
Yes,
and we deserve to see a yearbook essentially at the end here. But this has been so much fun. How can people stay in touch with you on social media and see all the rest of your work?
Absolutely. I am at QWEEN _JEAEN. Oh my God. Qween Jean. Sorry, I forgot my own name. Qween Jean. And that's on Instagram, Facebook. I'm the founder and executive director of Black Trans Liberation. It's an organization here in New York City where we feed and provide space and fellowship for queer and trans community. We meet every week. We have what I call Trans Church, and we partake. And so many of these rituals that are essential to our wellness, our mental wellness, our physical wellness. And that's what I'm called to do in this moment, to be an artist, but to also be a fist in the fight for liberation.
I love it. Well, thank you again for coming on and sharing, and congrats to all the success of the cast of Jellicle Ball.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And shout out to our incredible directors, Bill Rausch and Jalen Livingston. I love you both with everything in my heart.
Amen. Well, thank you. And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the cast atrophy. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any else listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.